You ever use an app and it's just so frustrating? Clunky, confusing, like it wasn't even made for a person? But then you open another one and it's so smooth, it almost feels like it's reading your mind. Well, that difference, it's not magic, it's a framework. Today, we're going to break down the 3 pillars that separate a product that makes you want to throw your phone from one that you absolutely love. All right, let's dive into the first pillar. You have to know exactly who you're building for. Before you write a single line of code, before you design a single button, you need a North Star. And in the world of UX, that guide is your user persona. Just think of it as your project's compass. So what is a user persona, really? Well, this is super important. It is not some character you just make up over lunch. It's a fictional profile, sure, but it's built completely from real research. We're talking interviews, surveys, hard data. And its whole job is to take all that abstract info and boil it down into a person you can relate to, someone with real goals, specific habits, and actual frustrations. Now, here's the problem this little tool solves, and it's a big one. Without a persona, every single person on the team, the engineer, the marketer, the CEO, they all have a slightly different user pictured in their head. The persona changes all that. It becomes the one shared source of truth that gets the entire team on the same page. It stops being about what I think or you think and starts being about what the user needs. And this is where that compass idea really comes to life. Let's pretend our persona is Priya. She's a 45-year-old nurse who is always short on time. So when the team's debating which feature to build next, they don't have to argue. They just ask, what would Priya need the most? And boom, that immediately pushes things like a quick checkout or super simple navigation to the top of the list. It stops design by opinion dead in its tracks and grounds every single decision in real empathy. But, and this is a huge but, a persona is only as good as the research behind it. Just look at this. A persona like tech user, age 18 to 65. That's completely useless. It's a lazy assumption that's so broad it represents absolutely no one. But a persona like Priya is specific, she's actionable, and she's based on real behaviors. Honestly, using a bad persona is worse than having none at all. It's like trying to navigate with a broken compass. So to wrap up our first pillar, a user persona isn't just some document that sits in a folder. It's a living, breathing communication tool. It's the compass that gets everyone on the team marching in the exact same direction, building for the exact same person. Okay, so you've got your compass, you know where you're going, but what about the journey itself? Are you building a simple garden shed, or are you building a 100-story skyscraper? The tools you'd use, the team you'd need, the whole process, it would be completely different, right? That's why you need a map of the terrain. This is where this idea of a system complexity space comes into play. It's really just a structured way of mapping out how challenging your project actually is. It makes you stop and consider all the moving parts, like how many different kinds of users you have, how difficult their tasks are, and, maybe most importantly, what happens if something goes wrong. And as you can see here, complexity has a lot of different dimensions. User complexity, for instance, asks if you're designing for just one type of person or for many, from a teenager who's a tech whiz to an older adult who's less comfortable. Environmental complexity asks where your product is going to be used. Is it a quiet office, or is it a loud, stressful factory floor? Every one of these factors adds another layer to your map. Now, out of all these dimensions, risk severity, that's often the big one. Just look at the difference here. If your to-do list app crashes, it's annoying, sure. That's a low-risk error. If an e-commerce app charges your card twice, that's way more serious, that's medium risk. But what if a hospital patient monitor fails? The consequences there are absolutely critical. The stakes completely dictate the process you have to follow. And that right there is the whole point. The map of your project's complexity tells you exactly what kind of process you need to follow. A simple, low-risk app can get by with a fast, lightweight process. But that high-risk patient monitor? No way. That requires a super rigorous, methodical process with tons of validation and safety checks. So, to recap, Pillar 2. Mapping your system's complexity isn't about creating extra work. It's about being smart, it's about being efficient, and it's about being responsible. It makes sure you use the right tools for the job so you don't over-engineer a simple product or, way more dangerously, under-design a complex one. Okay, so we've got our compass and we've got our map. The final pillar is all about checking our work, getting feedback from real, live users. But here's the catch. Testing with the wrong people can send you so far off course, it's actually worse than doing no testing at all. So,
The number one rule for picking your testers is user relevance. This is non-negotiable. It means your testers have to line up directly with your target persona. If you're building a sophisticated trading platform for expert investors, getting feedback from college students who've never bought a stock is going to give you completely useless information. Your testers have to be the real deal.
Second, you've got to have a diversity of contexts. Think about it. People don't use your app in a perfect quiet lab. They're on a crowded train with spotty Wi-Fi, they're using a 5-year-old phone, they're in loud, distracting places. Your testing group has to reflect this messy, real-world variety. That's how you find all those hidden problems with performance and real-life usability. And third, you need a range of experience. You need to test with people who are brand new to your type of product, and you need to test with seasoned experts. Why? Because the beginners will tell you if your product is easy to learn. The experts will push all your advanced features to their limits and tell you if you're actually meeting their expectations. You need both. So the big takeaway here is that finding good testers isn't about just grabbing random people off the street. It's a strategic process. You're carefully choosing a group based on their relevance, their context, and their experience level so you can get the richest, most helpful feedback possible. All right, let's bring it all home. We've talked about a compass, a map, and a key. These aren't just 3 separate ideas. They actually lock together to form a single, powerful framework for building great things. Here's how it all fits together. Your user persona is your compass. It gives you a crystal clear direction by defining who you're building for. Your analysis of system complexity is your map. It shows you the terrain so you can pick the right path and the right tools for the journey. And finally, your carefully chosen test participants are the key. They are what unlocks the authentic feedback you need to know you've built the right thing in the right way for the right people. You know, when a team really gets these 3 pillars right, the result is a product that just feels effortless. It just works. So I'll leave you with a question to think about. Think about the apps you use every single day. What's one product that you feel absolutely nailed these 3 keys? The compass, the map, and the key.